In the words of the infamous Game of Thrones mantra, winter is coming. And for Ukraine, this foreboding prophecy is becoming a stark reality. As the cold months approach, the fallout from Russia's targeted strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure is deepening, leaving the country facing a severe power crisis. Russia launched its third attack on Kyiv this week on August 29th, with the Ukrainian military reporting that about 15 Russian drones were shot down over the capital. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military confirmed strikes on oil storage facilities in Russia's Rostov and Kirov regions on Wednesday, as well as an attack on a field artillery depot in the Voronezh region. In response to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's yet-to-be-disclosed plan to end the war, the Kremlin dismissed the proposal on Wednesday. Zelensky has indicated that the plan will be presented to U.S. President Joe Biden and his two potential successors. The recent devastation at a major Ukrainian power plant, its exact location withheld for security reasons, serves as a testament to the extensive damage inflicted by Russian military operations.
Today, there were also reports from the Minister of Energy on the restoration efforts following Russian strikes. Repair crews, essential utilities, and state agencies are working to their maximum capacity. We aim to reduce the deficit. I thank everyone working towards this goal.
The plant, a relic of the Soviet era, now stands in ruins with charred walls, blown-out windows, and a collapsed roof. Despite the intensity of the attacks, the plant's critical staff managed to avoid casualties, though the destruction leaves an ominous silence punctuated only by rain falling through the gaping holes. Before the invasion, Ukraine had a generating capacity of 36 gigawatts. By late 2022, Russian strikes had already halved this capacity. Recent assaults have further decimated Ukraine's energy resources, with 9 gigawatts now lost. The remaining power largely comes from nuclear plants, which have not been targeted by Russia. As a result, generators have become a common sight in Kyiv and other cities, as power outages increasingly disrupt daily life. Experts claim that the recent barrage, involving over 100 missiles and drones aimed at Ukraine's energy distribution networks, has exacerbated the crisis. This latest wave of attacks has led to widespread emergency blackouts and scheduled power cuts affecting numerous cities. With winter approaching, the strain on Ukraine's energy system is expected to worsen, raising concerns about the country's ability to endure the harsh months ahead. Analysts warn that the power outages will likely have far-reaching effects. From challenges faced by elderly residents in high-rise buildings to interruptions in business operations, the consequences are severe. Additionally, there is a looming risk of critical water shortages, as power outages could impact water pumping systems. Meanwhile, a meeting of the Ukraine NATO Council was held on August 28th, where Ukraine's defense minister briefed allies on the country's most urgent needs, focusing on air defense and the protection of critical infrastructure.
Throughout the day, efforts to mitigate the consequences of the Russian strike on Kyiv have continued, and once again, ballistic attacks. There was a strike with a guided bomb on Kupiansk, right in the city center. People were trapped under the rubble. Unfortunately, there are casualties. My condolences to their families and loved ones.
The European Commission also has announced plans to fund small-scale generators to help decentralize Ukraine's power system. However, these measures offer only limited relief. While efforts to repair damaged power stations may restore an additional 2 to 3 gigawatts of capacity, this is insufficient to fully address the crisis. Russia's strategy of targeting Ukraine's infrastructure combined with the waning support from Western allies, seems to be aligning with Moscow's long-term objectives. The persistent strikes and the strain on European financial resources might play into Russia's plans, potentially weakening Ukraine's defenses as winter arrives. Ukrainian officials are actively seeking additional funds, with negotiations underway to secure up to $50 billion from frozen Russian assets and other sources.
We have now received a new inflow from the United States. $3.9 billion has been transferred to the Ukrainian Treasury account. I am grateful to our partners for their support. We're also working with the European Union to obtain about 4 billion euros in assistance that Ukraine needs in August.
Recent US aid packages reflect ongoing Western commitment, but the reduction in European aid raises concerns about the sustainability of this support. As Ukraine's fight against Russian aggression intensifies, a troubling trend is emerging among NATO allies. Key countries are beginning to scale back military aid to Kyiv. This shift comes at a time when Ukrainian forces are making significant gains on the battlefield, but also facing unprecedented challenges as winter approaches. Poland, one of Ukraine's staunchest supporters, has declared that it has sent all the weapons it can to Kyiv without jeopardizing its own national security. Deputy Prime Minister and Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz made the statement in response to a request from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for Polish fighter jets and assistance in intercepting Russian missiles over western Ukraine.
The Polish government, both our government and the government of our predecessors, have donated billions of dollars worth of equipment to Ukraine. That's all we were able to donate.
Kosiniak-Kamysz emphasized that while Poland has already provided billions of dollars worth of military equipment, it can no longer do so without risking its own defense capabilities. In a similar vein, Germany, Europe's largest economy and second only to the United States in terms of military support for Ukraine, has announced a substantial reduction in its aid. The decision, driven by Finance Minister Christian Lindner of the Liberal Free Democratic Party, FDP, is rooted in the government's commitment to budgetary discipline. Lindner's directive, revealed in an internal letter, indicates that military aid to Ukraine will be halved starting in 2025, with future funding expected to come from European sources or through interest on frozen Russian assets. The timing of Germany's decision has sparked alarm in both Kyiv and among Ukraine's other European allies. With the Ukrainian military regaining momentum in its counter-offensive, the reduction in aid from a critical partner could have severe consequences on the battlefield. The announcement has also elicited reactions from across the Atlantic, where some of former President Donald Trump's supporters have questioned the United States' continued support for Ukraine if Europe itself is pulling back. This shift in NATO's stance was foreseen by Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has long warned that the Western coalition's resolve would weaken over time. The ongoing conflict has strained public opinion and national budgets across Europe, and domestic political pressures are increasingly influencing foreign policy decisions. Putin's strategy appears to be bearing fruit as key European nations begin to prioritize their internal stability over sustained military assistance to Ukraine. Meanwhile, the Biden administration continues to support Kyiv, recently announcing a $125 million military aid package on the eve of Ukraine's Independence Day. The package includes critical air defense systems, artillery munitions, and anti-armor missiles, underscoring Washington's ongoing commitment to Ukraine. However, the broader trend of reduced European support raises questions about the long-term sustainability of the Western alliance's backing of Kyiv. As NATO allies face mounting domestic challenges and budgetary constraints, the unity that has so far characterized their response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine is showing signs of strain. With winter approaching and the conflict far from resolved, the next few months will be crucial, determining whether Ukraine can continue to rely on the same level of international support that has been pivotal in its fight for sovereignty.